All right, West Virginia fans, as Tony Caridi would say, it is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be. West Virginia, Pounds Pitt in the backyard brawl. To talk about it with me tonight, I have my good friend of the show, Amit Batra. Amit, how we doing tonight?
Feeling great, man. Always great to beat these guys. So, and to get the sweep in football and basketball, man. I thought we looked great tonight. I thought this was the most complete performance thus far, and I think it was a huge win for Ross Hodge early in his tenure here.
Yeah, I think answered a lot of questions to ease some anxiety tonight, right? Because let's face it, how much are you going to know when you play Mount St. Mary and Lehigh and Campbell? You didn't really know until you face a team in similar competition. They passed the test tonight. They looked really good. Let's talk about this before we kick this thing off, Amit. Football and basketball sweep. Tell me what your thoughts are on that. How much does that mean to the West Virginia athletics in general?
It feels good. I mean, to for Rich Rod to do it, for Ross to do it. I mean, it's great, and it's always great to beat those guys. Obviously, in football, we kind of had to sweat it out, but and here, I mean, after the early stages of the first half, I mean, they pretty much dominated this game. And I mean, I thought they looked like a much better team than Pitt, and it's always good to get this win for sure.
Absolutely. We have a comment already from Coop. He said, "I'm here, but I'm walking to my car." So hopefully you're jacked up for this one. I tell you what, on TV tonight, the WVU Coliseum, it was one of those nights where I wish I was in
Yeah.
Morgantown. The Gold Rush looks awesome. When that place is buzzing, it's just a great overall atmosphere. Yeah, for me, football and basketball sweep, especially for West Virginia, man, to get both of them with two first-year coaches back at the helm. They have more established coaches there. I think it's an absolute massive thing for West Virginia, right? We've had some really tough last few years in both football and basketball, but for this season, no matter what happens, you took care of business in the backyard brawl. You got massive wins over these teams. So the vibes are up. Is it safe to say right now the vibes are up in Morgantown? The vibes are up around the program, Emmett?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, for anybody who doubted Ross, I think they're a little quiet tonight, right? I mean, I think he won over the fan base. I mean, anytime you beat Pitt in pretty much anything, you're going to win some fans over. And I mean, I just think, defensively, they look great. They're creating turnovers. They won in rebounding, the points in the paint. I mean, let's talk about Harlan OBO. I know we're going to get to him. But man, what a great game. And I mean, I thought, they just dominated Pitt from start to finish pretty much.
You know who this was a massive game for? Ross Hodge,
Yeah.
right? Because I think a lot of people were a little leery, right? I mean, we were kind of in that honeymoon phase over the offseason, and then you never really know what you have with a coach until you see them perform. And this was the first big test, and he definitely passed it. And don't forget, last year's team got smoked by Pitt. We lost
Yeah.
two in a row to them and got absolutely hammered by Pitt last season. They did not pass that first test against a power opponent. Ross Hodge, man, we got to be feeling good about our head coach.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I mean, obviously, they had a pretty good year last year, but yeah, after that pick game, they started to figure it out. I mean, they got, destroyed in that game. And so I think, Ross, to be 4-0 right now, obviously, I think there's a great opportunity to be 5-0 after Monday going into Clemson. I mean, I think for any Mountaineer fan, you're feeling pretty good about this team right now.
Coops giving us some reporting real quick. He said place was rocking, which absolutely. He said
Yeah.
Ross was in the student section after the game, which we need a coach that will fully buy in, especially after Darren DeVries left, and it felt like it was like a wife leaving us after like a year of marriage, right? So seeing someone that is committed to the program is definitely a great thing. Ross Hodge has done all the great things. I'm very happy for him, happy for his family. I'm sure they're very excited about the win tonight. It just makes it easier when you win, especially when you beat a Pitt team. So right now, good things going for West Virginia. Let's get into this episode. Mitt, what do you say?
Yeah, let's do it.
So before we do that, if you're a West Virginia fan, please remember to like and subscribe to JerseyEER. As of tonight, we are at 492 subscribers, so we're about 8 away from 500. Who knows? Maybe we can get there by the Arizona State game. We'll have to see. Maybe a lot of people will be locked in for this episode tonight because it's a big win versus Pitt. So definitely subscribe to the show. All right, let's talk about some things. So John Rothstein, one of our favorite basketball analysts around the country, put out a PSA after the game, public service announcement. To whom it may concern, West Virginia's tagline was resurrected. because after further review, it encapsulates more than just one era of Mountaineer program. This is for you, Morgantown. Sincerely, JR. I admit, I told you the vibes are back. And
Yes.
again, if you remember, the tagline he has is West Virginia basketball tougher than a long weekend at your in-laws. Just an elite tweet from this man. My mother-in-law might not agree with him, but Mitt, thoughts on JR dropping a PSA today after the game?
Yeah, I mean John Rothstein's always showing us love, which I mean we love him. I mean, and it doesn't matter, I guess, who the coach is. I mean the I guess the identity is going to be the same, right? They're going to be hard to play against, right? And they're going to be tough, and they're going to defend and rebound and all the stuff that we love as Mountaineer fans. So I mean, I love this. I mean, let's just keep it going, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Here we go. Coop said rank us. So I'm not gonna get too crazy after the what is this? This is the fourth game, right?
Fourth game, yeah.
So if we continue to play like this, there's a shot, right? There's definitely a shot if we continue to play like this. Again, Coop, thank you for the comments. We really appreciate it. All right, let's really break this game down and look at the stats. West Virginia basically won in every category. Field goal percentage, we had an edge by 5%. We shot 43, they shot 38. We 24 from 56 from the field, so we had 3 more shots than they did. The field goal 3-point percentage was 29% compared to 25. We took 24 shot attempts at 3-point line. We made 7. Free throws were in the 70s again tonight, so that's good to see for West Virginia. The big key was turning the other team over.
Yeah.
12 turnovers to 6. Jasper Floyd, man, he had his fingerprints all over this game, Amit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I mean, the whole team has been great defending, throughout these 4 games. And, we're creating turnovers, which is great to see. And, we're not turning the ball over ourselves, which is huge, right? And then, like you mentioned, the free throws have also been key. And I think just the points in the paint really stood out to me tonight, with Harlan and what he was able to do in there. And it was great to see we dominated in that category.
Yeah, look at the turnovers points off of turnovers, 21-8. That was massive. I mean, look at that right there. I thought rebounding was much better tonight, especially in the first half. We were getting a lot of offensive boards, which gave us some second chance points, which you see here. 9 second chance points to 0 from Pitt. So it looks like they really put an emphasis on the rebounding for West Virginia. Fast breaks pretty even. Blocks. Dude, Laureate had a few blocks tonight.
Yeah.
I thought it was Sagabal Kanate out there making those blocks. What do you think about that,
Yeah,
Mitt?
no, absolutely. He had that one rundown block, which was great. I mean, at first he was definitely struggling a little bit offensively early part of the game, but I mean, defending he was great. And then yeah, I mean, I just love what I'm seeing on the defensive side of the ball. To be honest, they look like one of the teams that we're kind of used to, right? Like from that perspective. So yeah, no, I think Ross has preached defense, and we're seeing it.
I mean, we have some fan left for you. Someone said, "Sweet Lou." And Rock, he said, "Amit is all about the love."
I used to work with Lou, and he's a good friend of mine. So appreciate you watching, Lou. Thank you.
Is Lou a Jersey guy?
Yeah. Union County guy.
Nice. We love the East Jersey, Union County
Yeah.
guys. Listen, we love our New Jersey people, obviously, because we're called
Yeah.
JerseyEER. Coop said, "I'm always so late out of the game. I know the spot where players come out of the game, so I get autographs." That's awesome, Coop. Definitely enjoy that. Listen, our thing is here, I'm not dumb. I know Mountaineer Paul and I know Coos have their shows right after the tip-off ends. So I usually wait a little bit, right? I usually wait like 30 minutes to 40 minutes. I let them do their thing because they have a much bigger audience than me at this point. And then after they're done, it's like the post-game after the post-game show. So I think that's our niche. So even though you get out of there late, you always know you can hop on our show and check us out because that's kind of where we're going to be after the big games. We'll talk about it after the big dogs do, and then we'll do our 2 cents since we're a smaller channel still at this point. But we appreciate you guys. So those were the team stats. Let's get into some more individual stuff here, Amit. Let's talk about Pitt. The one guy I want to highlight is the Witherspoon kid. He had 11 points. He actually took an official visit to West Virginia. Darren DeVries was looking at him. He ended up taking West Virginia out of his top 3. I thought that kid was very impressive for Pitt tonight as a freshman.
Yeah, no, he was definitely the one that kind of stood out. I was a little worried about their guards kind of going into the game, as well as that forward that they have. But I mean, yeah, I mean, overall though, I think there was not really anybody who hurt you, too bad. So obviously, to hold him to 49 points in total, right, was pretty big. So yeah, I don't think one particular guy really killed us tonight.
I thought Pitt. I think the interesting about Pitt was they lost their composure at the end of that game.
Yeah,
Technical foul on
technically.
one of the players. Their head coach gets a technical foul. At that point, you get two technical fouls. That behind that late against Morgantown with a crowd like that, the game was over. That pretty much wrapped up their thing. They lost their composure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, I think the atmosphere was definitely getting to him a little bit. And then I just loved all those chants too towards the end of the end of the game, which was great. Just like football and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I was loving every second of it.
It reminded me of like a high school atmosphere, right? Because that's the
Yeah.
stuff you say in high school.
Oh
So,
yeah.
that's why these rivalries matter, right? You're probably not going to chant that if you're playing like Lafayette on Monday, or
Yeah.
even some of these teams in the Big 12 that we don't see during football season. These backyard rivalries just mean more, and it's great. I love this guy's name, Cliffhanger. Love that name. He said it's a great evening to be a Mountaineer. Absolutely, man. Cheers, brother. I know. The whole, it's funny. I wasn't even really nervous about tonight's game. I just said, all right, it's going to be what it is. And I love the 6 o'clock tip off, by the way. I saw some
Yeah.
people complaining about the 6 p.m. tip off. For me, it was like, I got out of school at 3 o'clock and I'm like, man, they're already at shoot around. Like, this is
Yeah.
great. I'm going to make dinner early tonight. So 6 p.m. kickoffs, tip offs, I should say, all four for that. All right, let's look into some West Virginia stats. The guys that we really want to look at here. So I'm going to say a well balanced attack tonight. Harlan Obioa, though, he's the star of the game, 19
Yeah.
points. He took over the game, 8 for 9 from the field, Amit. Just bully those guys down low. What are your thoughts on Harlan Obioa's performance tonight?
Yeah, he was always almost perfect from the field. His one miss came late in the game. I mean, he was tremendous, and you could just tell he's a very smart, high IQ basketball player. Like he can make the pass right in the paint. Obviously, he's rebounding. He's making things difficult on the defensive side of the ball. So, I mean, I think we've kind of discussed this, but there's going to be one guy that kind of stands out every game. It seems like, right? Like Bilo was the guy the other night against Lehigh. And then, you've had Honor Huff, right? You've had Jasper Floyd. And now it was his turn tonight, right? And I mean, he was just great. And I mean, I'm just loving what I'm seeing. There was nobody that really could contest him, down there.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about him in a second. Honor Huff continues to quietly have consistent games. He's been getting in double figures for each of the games. He had 15 tonight, and that was even after being in foul trouble. So he's finding ways to score. Jasper Floyd had another strong performance tonight, and the freshman DJ Thomas looked really good in that first half. So I think we have a nice, well-balanced attack that is going to play really tough defense against you and have multiple guys that score, which is a great look for West Virginia. Let's get into my notes real quick. We'll talk about this and then we'll talk about a few things moving forward. We kind of mentioned this, but the home court advantage tonight was definitely there. I'm not sure if this game is that big of a blowout if it's in Pitt, but the home court advantage is definitely there tonight. Amit, what do you think?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it was great for obviously Ross to experience that. I mean, everybody knew that this was going to be the game where, the crowd's going to be filled and it's going to be one of those type of atmospheres that makes Morgantown and the Coliseum so special. And I think for these type of players also, coming from where they came from, I think it's great for them to experience this early on in the season, right? Because there's going to be more of this, right? Going to the Big 12 when you have some of those teams coming home. So I think it's great for them to experience this type of crowd early. And I mean, home court is a huge advantage when you have these type of games.
Eric Flower said I took WVU giving points the under and Huff over 12. So I know you definitely got two of them. I'm sure the under hit though, because we held Pitt to probably a season low. I think they said on the broadcast that Ross Hodge's team has kept it's like 13 games in a row going back to last season. They've kept teams under 75 points. He's a tough tenacity coach on defense. So Eric probably had a good night then for that one. New game, new leader. We talked about that. Each night there's been a different guy that steps up. I kind of look like an idiot right now, Mitt, because we did a pregame poll on our Instagram page. Who's going to be the leading scorer tonight? And I didn't even put Harlan Obioa on that graphic. And to my defense, I was trying to put the other category on there, but it wouldn't let me. I was out of a lot of the people were picking Honor Huff and Eagle Staff. Didn't have Obioa on the thing, so I won't underestimate his chance to score tonight.
Yeah, I mean, both of us had Eagle staff, and I think we're both kind of just waiting for that game where he breaks out, right?
Yep. Eric Flower said I hit all three. So cheers to you, brother. That's that's extra sweet for you, man. That's awesome. Let's talk about this. So because Harlan OBO was so dominant, two things can be said. We scored a lot of points in the paint, like you said, which was a very great sign. And then the other thing that's going to be coming up probably is now double teams, right? And as teams start to double team Harlan, that's going to open up the floor for different guys to see open looks because they're going to have to defend him. Admit this is only good for West Virginia, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, you're going to give a lot of people opportunity to, to hit threes and all of that. So, I mean, I was surprised Pitt didn't go to the double team more because, I mean, he was torching them. So, and, you obviously saw the mismatch down there, right? So I was surprised they didn't really go to the double team as much tonight.
We talked about tough defense. I think, like I said, the biggest thing that I'm seeing is active hands, and we've said that every show. Like I said, Jasper Floyd had his fingerprints all over this one. He's been really strong, and you're seeing guys get the loose balls. So that was great to see. And we mentioned multiple scorers, right? So you have DJ Thomas, and then you have Lorient, who looks really good, and Obioa, and then Eagle Staff hasn't gotten going yet, but you saw that three hit that looked really nice. Be careful once we get him going. Plus, you still have the other guys that have to come back to the team.
Yep.
Ugo-Stack showed some decent things. Amir Jenkins has shown some flashes. I mean, I think the thing with this team is the scoring droughts might not be as bad this year because you have multiple guys when you need a bucket can get one.
Yeah, I think you're going to have a lot of depth this year. I mean, we talked about it in the pre-show, like, going into the season, that there's going to be a chance for multiple scorers to get involved here, and we're going to have a lot of scores. Then, yeah, you factor in like Chance Moore coming in and coming back next week after. I think Clemson is the first game he will be eligible after Lafayette. So, yeah, I mean, there's more on the way, right? So it's very exciting when you have this type of team where multiple guys can contribute. And I personally, I love it.
I'll tell you what, fantastic Frosh, DJ Thomas, we've mentioned him
Yeah.
a bunch. The poise that he's showing to step up in a big environment, the footwork he had on the one basket tonight was really impressive. I'm super impressed with him as a freshman right now. He's making a lot of noise. It's super impressive to see how this coaching staff has gotten him ready to play big-time basketball. And then the other thing is they've battled through adversity. Tonight for a little bit in the beginning of that game, if you remember, they went down by 8 points at one point. I think was the biggest trailing, but they kept their composure. And this team who hasn't played together much found a way to punch back and go on a run. So that was the first test of adversity, really, I think, this year. I know there were some close calls against some lousy teams, but you were better than those teams. You had more talent. Tonight was a different story. Rivalry, team with same talent that you did. You go down and you handled the adversity test really, really well tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think West Virginia was down 21-14 before they went on that 13-0 run, which was huge. And then from there, they were able to find their offense and they were able to get going. And then, I mean, even in the second half, everything looked comfortable and, they were I think they were up 20 something, and then Pitt gets within 10 and then you're like, oh man, like let's hope that Pitt doesn't come back here. But then, they were poised, right? And then Honor Huff hits that big three in the corner, which I think brought it back to like 17 or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to battle through adversity, throughout the season, and it was great to see that they answered the call tonight.
Yeah, Coop said Eagle Staff didn't play too well. Listen, I'm not bailing on Eagle Staff yet. I think whatever. If he's not playing great right now, but you know what? He's still contributing on the defensive side of the ball, and eventually it's going to click. Eventually it is going to click, and when it does, he might be a guy when everyone's off to carry us. So be patient with this guy. I just think his ability. I'm not off the bandwagon yet. Eric.
Yeah, I was saying I like the looks. I like the looks that he's getting too, right? I mean, some of it he's just not making them, but I mean, he had a bunch of good looks tonight for sure.
Eric Flower said Eagle Staff has been playing good defense. He made some assists. He just can't shoot right now. They're eventually going to fall. Ross Hodge kind of attribute it after the first game to tired legs and getting the legs underneath him. That will come. Let's talk about this, and I want to talk about this with the fans on the chat too. Does this change your expectations for the season now? I mean, before it was kind of like, all right, we could be like a bubble team, maybe possibly get in the tournament. Amit, I mean, does this change your expectations for this team?
No, I mean, I'm always gonna, hope to make the tournament, kind of like you said, going to the year. Now, I mean, you still have a bunch of big games, though, right? I mean, it's still early. It's still, only 4 games. So let's see. I mean, you have Clemson coming up. You're gonna have Wake Forest coming up, Ohio State. So a lot of big time games coming in the non-conference slate, and then obviously we know how tough the Big 12 is. So I still think it's pretty early. So I mean, but my hopes are, still to make the tournament.
Yeah, me too. I think the tournament is definitely the benchmark, for sure. I don't know. I'm pretty excited now. Yeah, I think the excitement's there. I don't want to overreact to one win because
Yeah.
let's face it, we don't really know how good Pitt is either. It's not like they're Kansas or Gonzaga or something, or Houston, right? They're still Pitt. So it's a nice way to end the losing streak. But I am more hopeful now. I am a little less worried than I was coming into this one. All right, let's talk about this fun one here. And I want you guys in the chat to definitely let me know this. And don't take our Mountaineer cards if we answer this the wrong way, you don't like this way. I think this is a very relevant question for where we're at right now around the programs. So, Matt, let's play a game. Let's play a game called Who Would You Root For? If these teams were to play tonight, it is Indiana versus the Pitt Panthers. So, background, obviously, we hate Pitt. We are our arch rival. There's no love lost there for those guys, and we know the song. But then we have Indiana, where your coach left after a year, and it doesn't help that Tucker DeVries is absolutely killing it right now over there. I mean, if these teams played tonight, there's no ties in basketball. Who you rooting for?
Oh man, I probably will still lean towards Indiana. I mean, I don't. They made my list where the teams that I don't root for now because of what happened, and I did watch some of that game against Marquette that Indiana had the other night, and yeah, Tucker was going crazy, and I hated to watch it, and I hated to see it, but just because I mean, I just more history with Pitt, and it's been. I mean, Indiana's still a little fresh, but. Not by much, but I would root for Indiana a little bit more.
I got to be honest. Listen, no fans here take my Mountaineer card tonight when I say this. I think for this year only, I would take Pittsburgh because I'm still bitter and tight about how it ended last year. It almost reminds me of like how mad I was when Saquon went to the Eagles. Like I like that. Like maybe not as bad as that one because Indiana's not in our conference. They're not like a rival, but I don't know. For this year only, I wouldn't mind if they played. I wouldn't mind seeing Pitt upend them. Just because, and especially after tonight, maybe my mind would have been changed tonight if we looked bad against Pitt or had a heartbreaking loss. But the fact that we own them, that would even be better now, right? If we own Pitt and then they beat Indiana, we would have bragging rights forever, right?
Yeah. And I think, I mean, Indiana just has the better team. So, I mean, yeah, maybe for the one game, I would probably, yeah, you do make a good point. Maybe you just root for Pitt because Indiana probably has the, they're going to look for the tournament this year for sure. And they're going to compete. So, yeah, maybe in that sense.
Dude, maybe the basketball gods will give us an Indiana, West Virginia, like NCAA tournament matchup.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing. This show would the subscribe. We don't have to worry about subscribers then or views.
Yeah.
That would kill. So let me know in the comments who you guys would root for. Eric Flower said I would hope they both lose. This is would you rather though, so you have to pick one. Who would you rather see lose or win? I guess in this case, I think that's just a fun question to go off of. All right, I mean, let's keep it moving. So this is also WVU recruiting right now in both football and basketball has been heating up. Football has a lot of guys that are linked to the program that would be game changers for the 2026 class. And same thing with basketball. This is an exciting time to be a West Virginia Mountaineer for recruiting. Let's talk about this one, though. 4-star Miles Sadler is the number 20 overall recruit, and the 2026 class is down to 6 schools. He tells rivals. He's a 6-foot senior, one of the top point guards nationally. He has a crystal ball prediction of going to West Virginia, and he's a 5-star composite, according to 24/7. He would be the highest rated recruit since Oscar Sheboy. What would this mean for the program if they were able to land this guy?
I mean, this would be amazing. I'll be locked in on Sunday to see see his decision. But I mean, to get a guy of this caliber, I mean, we're not, probably getting 5 stars every single day, right? So to get somebody like this would be huge for the program, and I think it could take us to the next step for sure.
Absolutely. I think I'll tell you what, man. You know what I was hoping for tonight? Speaking of like commitments, how cool would it have been? This is what West Virginia should have done with Kevin Brown tonight. If he was committing, how cool it would have been at like halftime of the game after Red Panda went off, because I'm pretty sure Red Panda did the halftime show. If like Kevin Brown was there with like his West Virginia gloves, and you know how like the Knicks they played like "I'm Coming Home"
Yeah.
when Carmelo Anthony came back, like
Yep.
the lights dim. It's like I'm coming home, and then Kevin Brown's like, "I'm committed, baby. I'm coming to the Mountaineers." That would have been like an all-time commitment. That would have
Yeah.
been an all-timer. Now I'll be watching Sunday too. This could be a huge weekend for West Virginia in both football and basketball. Wild times, great for content creators like me and you. So all good stuff. And Eric Flower said I'd probably root for Pitt. Good. At least there's not just one of me. Maybe that'll be the next poll I put on Instagram tonight or tomorrow. I'll ask, who would you root for if they played today, Pitt or Indiana? It'd be interesting to see
Yeah.
what it would be like, because there's some fans that are like, "Are you kidding me?" You could never root for Pitt, but then again, like I don't know. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about this one. This is honestly, I've been waiting for this topic all night. Amit, hear me out. So this is be a maniac for a day versus Texas Tech. $45 tickets. Experience the game like a Mountaineer maniac. It includes a clear bag, shaker, koozie, assorted athletics giveaway. Amit, what are your thoughts on this giveaway?
I think it's a solid deal, man. I'd take this in a heartbeat. I mean, just to experience that and everything. And you're playing a really good team too, right? You're playing a top 10 team, so I think this would be amazing.
So I have a few thoughts on this. Okay, number one, the Thanksgiving Day game is always tough to get people. I have a funny story
Sure.
about the Thanksgiving Day game. So my sophomore year, we're about to play Oklahoma, and it's the first time we play Oklahoma in the Big 12. And all my roommates are like, "Yo, I'm going home for Thanksgiving,"
That's
because
right.
this was played like before Thanksgiving. And I said, "Listen, I'm not missing the opportunity. I don't care how disappointing the season's been." Because at that point, they lost like 3 or 4 games in a row, and that was after being ranked like number 7. I'm like, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to this Oklahoma game. I don't care. So I called my buddies up because I didn't have a car at the time. I carpooled home all the time in West Virginia. I said, listen, I got a place for you to stay, and I have a free ticket to watch Oklahoma Sooners versus West Virginia. Are you down? So my 2 buddies came down and visited me and drove down to Morgantown. We had the time of our lives, and that happened to be the game where Tavon Austin had like 500 all-purpose yards. So I'm so glad that I didn't miss that game. I really think that if you're a student, you should try to get back for this one, because there's only 9 games, but that's up to people. I think this is a genius idea from the athletic department, because it sells ticket inventory for a cheap price, and it can get more butts in the seat, which is important. We just talked about recruiting, and in order to be successful, these guys want to see great environments. So if you're gonna have some top end recruits there, fill the place up however you can. I mean, whatever. At the end of the day, if there's people on the street, grab them and say, get into the stadium and make it look good, fill the stadium. I also have a few other ideas for this one moving forward. You want to hear my ideas for this? And
Yes.
so if we're going to be a maniac for a day, why don't we really make this like a maniac going back to college experience? Listen, let's rent out one of the towers, right? So so instead of staying at a hotel, the university, you can book a night at Towers for one night. You can get a meal card and a PRT card, so you can go back and forth from downtown Morgantown back up to the stadium. We can hit all the establishments. We can hit Spage. We can hit Joe Mama's for the night. You're live like a student for one day. No kids, no wife, just you and your buddies. You're a maniac again. Amit, what are your thoughts on that moving forward?
Oh God, sign me up. 'Cause that would bring me all the way back to my days. I mean, I didn't stay in Towers, but I mean, I was always around there. And if you can take me to all those places, I'm in. Sign
That
me
would
up.
be that'd be sick. I was a Stonecker Hall guy. College game day was right in front of my dormitory.
I was Borman South, so we were close.
My
I see.
what's it called? My freshman year college game day was right in front of my dorm. I woke up and
Yeah.
it was out in front of me. Anyway, we're getting on a tangent. Ren Baker, if you're listening to this, which I'm sure you're not, but if you are, next year, open up Towers, give people meal cards. We'll go back to Spades. Joe Mamas will make a whole weekend out of it. Alumni weekend. Be a maniac again. I'm in. Next year. There's some things you can't miss, Amit. So sorry, wife and kids. I'm going to be a maniac for the weekend. All right. Speaking of bringing back the blast from the past, let's talk about this. This was awesome news this week. Rich Rodriguez wants to bring the fullback back. West Virginia coach Michael Nesswater said, calling all fullbacks, we want to break face masks. Looking for the next Owen Schmidt. Hit my DMs if you want to play hard edge football. Amit, what are your thoughts on West Virginia bringing back the fullback?
I love this, man. Bring back the hard edge guys. I mean, now, like, even like seeing like Curtis Jones, last week and the way he was running, I'm like, man, we need this type of energy back. So I love this.
Absolutely. Eric Flowers is still on the Pitt tangent. He said basically Pitt stinks. DeVries, what DeVries did was worse. It's basically he's saying it's personal. They should have been in the tournament, and he wants to see us avenge it. Flowers also said I was in the Pierpont house, Borman South, and the apartment across from the Ronald McDonald house. So that McDonald's house, you had a prime location. This guy had prime location for football games. That was probably a hot spot to be. Back when he was there. I think he said the 80s. I think he said the last time Eric was on the show, he said the 80s. He said he met Adrian Harris, which is cool. Yeah, but Amit, so I was a fullback as a kid. That was my first position as a kid. I was a lead blocker, and I used to absolutely maul people when I was the same size as everybody. So I love the fullback position. I'm glad it's back. I actually DM'd a kid I used to teach. And he's a high school football player a few years ago. He took like third in the state in wrestling, and he had over 1,000 yards rushing, and he's built like a fullback. And I said, dude, you should just send your tape in because not many schools have the fullback position, right? So if you're a kid that is a little bit shorter but can run the ball and you're hard edge, this is an opportunity for you to play D1 football because let's face it, the fullback is not really a Division I position right now. It's kind of like a unicorn or kind of like a dinosaur. It's kind of like it's kind of going away. So this is a chance for people with a skill set to come play football. I think it's a great idea from West Virginia to see what they have, especially with what they want to do. I think it's an awesome idea. Speaking of positions, and this is going to be our last segment of the night, two-way players, Amit. So we talked, Rich Rodriguez mentioned that he wants to see two-way players. So a few backgrounds with this, okay? Before the season, someone asked him, hey, Rodney Gallagher, is he going to play two-way football? And Rich Rodriguez was quoted and said, if Rodney Gallagher is playing defensive back, then we didn't do our job and we have no depth at defensive back. Fast forward 6 months later, you have Curtis Jones or Bandit running touchdowns for the West Virginia Mountaineers. Amit, what are your thoughts on two-way players possibly contributing to West Virginia?
I think you're starting to see more of it, obviously, like with Travis Hunter and what he was able to do. And now, I mean, I don't know. I think there's obviously a discussion, and you start seeing guys who are able to play in multiple positions. Obviously, like we've had guys who have changed position, maybe more so on the same side of the ball, like David Sills, right, quarterback to receiver, and then you see Garrett Green going from quarterback to receiver and stuff like that. So, but I guess from going on both sides of the ball, it's a more of an interesting discussion. I was, you mentioned this to me. I was thinking long and hard about it. Like multiple guys that come to mind. Like for me, like Mario Alford was one. I think like at corner, I could see him definitely play like corner. Like he was fast, great hands, like, and he just had a knack for the ball. So I felt like he was one that just kind of just popped in my head like right away.
There were some great ones in the chat this past week. Someone said Beanie. I think it might have been Coop. Coop said Beanie Bishop at wide receiver, which made me think Beanie Bishop. If you remember that UNC game, he had that punt return. He was always dynamic with the ball in his hands. I think Rasul Douglas could have played some offense. Yeah. He was definitely talented. I said Bruce Irvin at like tight end would have been fun. Yeah. I think you told me Dreamus Smith.
Dreamus Smith. I always thought he was built like somebody who played like linebacker or something like that. That dude was huge. And like, I mean, he used to run hard. So I was like, all right, maybe you could hit a little bit.
Someone said Lee Kobe fullback would be fun.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I would have liked to see what Kevin White's skill set was on defense. That dude was a monster.
Yeah.
I bet Tyke Smith would have been pretty good at some different positions. I bet Stedman would have been a nasty D-back just with his ball skills. It's interesting, Utah had like 3 guys this year. They had Snowden, Jackson Benny, and Lander Barton that were two-way players, and they all contributed and they all did things against West Virginia. I think right now, West Virginia, there's this kid named Matt Sig who was committed to Penn State. He's now taking an official visit to West Virginia. He's also looking at Pitt in Indiana. Rumor has it that that's one of West Virginia's selling points to him is being a two-way player. And I think being a two-way player can have a lot of marketability, especially with the NIL world. If you're a guy that's making plays on offense and defense, that's going to be massive. By the way, I also have Pac-Man Jones. Don't want to forget about him. Someone said him. It might have been Eric who said him. Pac-Man Jones was a nasty punt returner in the NFL and college. He would have been really fun to watch play both sides of the ball, Mitt.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he's definitely one that comes to mind, and yeah, I think you can make an argument for a bunch of guys that we've seen. It's an exciting discussion, no doubt.
Eric Flower said we had to stumble over my high school friends that would show up went to Marshall. They came to our games. Funny story about Marshall. The last year we played them, I ended up seeing Chad Pennington tailgating in a parking lot at the game, which is kind of funny. Anyway, two-way players, I think it's a real thing, especially with the way they're doing rosters, especially with West Virginia with NIL. You have to think, right? We don't have unlimited NIL money like everybody else. So if you can get a 4-star, why not use him in multiple ways? Get 2 players for the price of 1, right? I mean, I think that's an interesting thing. I think Rich Rodriguez, shout out to him because putting Curtis Jones at running back was not on my bingo card this year, and it shows his ability to find whatever it takes to win. He talked about that a lot this year. He's going to do whatever it takes to find ways to win. So I think he's doing that when he thinks outside the box like that.
And when you think about high school too, you're like, I mean, these guys are already playing, both sides of the ball anyway in high school, right? So it's not like, I mean, I'm sure they're capable of playing like multiple positions
At most schools. Yeah. That was one of my questions to, I had Rhett Morris on, who's a West Virginia offensive line commit. And I talked to him about that because, he really only plays offensive line at Don Bosco Prep because Don Bosco Prep's not like your average high school. I mean, those kids are recruited to go there. They have like 10 or 11 guys that are going to go Division I and play Division I power football. So I asked him, I said, do any of the kids on your team play like 2 ways? And he's like, nah, our high school, like there's like 1 or 2 kids that do, but mostly it's one side of the ball. So I thought that was interesting at a place like I'm sure if you're like Don Bosco, Bergen, IMG, or some of these major schools, you're probably focusing on one side. But at most high schools, like you said, most guys are going to play both sides of the ball. Like even like the quarterback, right? Your quarterback's going to be like your safety or something. Yeah. Just an interesting conversation. I think there's a lot of storylines each and every day that come out of West Virginia. All right. It's funny that, we started 37 minutes ago. We went from talking about the win over Pitt, and now that we've talked for a long time, we've been talking about going back to Morgantown, bringing back the fullback position. We mentioned Jaremus Smith. It's been a fun one, isn't it?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I'm just super hyped, man. It's just, I think things are coming along, right? From with basketball and with football, right? It's fun. And to beat Pitt in anything, I'm always pumped. But like to sweep them in football and basketball, I mean, can't beat it.
Can't beat it. Hey guys, I just want to say this, again, truly, I'm super appreciative of everyone. We had a ton of people here watch tonight, which is great. Like I said, the show is growing, it's gaining momentum. So I really appreciate everyone that has liked and subscribed, sharing it with your friends. I really, really appreciate everyone. It means a lot that you guys are supporting a guy from Jersey talking about the Mountaineers. With that being said, that's all I got. We'll talk to you guys after the Arizona State game on Saturday. Have a great night. Enjoy your night. Let's go Mountaineers. JerseyEER signing out.